Welcome to today's video. Today we'll be covering foundation and the best application process that you can use, the different types of foundations and different application ways as well. And so whether you can use a brush or a beauty blender or anything of that such nature. So let's jump right in and get started. So I have a lot of different foundations, so I'll just hold them up and tell you what they are. So this one's a BB cream, as I was talking about earlier. BB creams are really light. They're more of like a tinted moisturizer. And so this I typically would apply with my fingers, or if I actually have like a lot of time in the morning before school or whatever, I use my beauty blender on this. I like how it looks. It's very light, and so this I will show you on my hand, and it just has really nice application. But the only thing is that it can be a little bit streaky because it has the moisturizer mixed in with it, so you really want to make sure that you have it all blended and like on your face properly. Another thing is I would bring it down your neck just so that it matches everything. Next I have this BareMinerals. It's a pure brightening serum foundation. It's very liquidy, and so what you'd want to do is you'd want to take your brush and just like drop some on and then go onto your skin that way. You could probably also use a beauty blender as well, but the thing with serum foundations is they're made for brushes. Like, you're supposed to use a brush with them, and so that'll make you have the most flawless application for that. I also have this BB tinted treatment primer, and so you should, what it was intended for was as a primer, and so again you would put it under your other foundation. I find with this it works great as just a regular foundation. Like, you don't need to put it under another foundation because then it can look cakey. Also it can oxidize, and you just don't want to be messing around with that because you can turn orange like 10 minutes after you apply it and you wouldn't even realize it. And so just be careful when you like mix foundations or you mix different products from different lines. It might oxidize, which means that it would turn orange, and so just make sure that you test it out on your arm or like on your face when you're at the store, especially if you're buying like high-end stuff. You don't want to be wasting that money just to have to not use it. I also have this Cover FX. It's a natural finish oil-free foundation. The reason that I like this one is because it has really nice coverage. The only thing is if you have like dry patches on your skin, and sometimes I get dry patches on my nose just because I'm constantly drying it and washing it just because it gets so oily, is this will stick to your dry patches and will make it look worse because it's oil free, and so it doesn't have that natural moisturizer in it to be able to settle your skin and all that sort of thing. But other than that, I think it's really, really good. And so it says to apply it to cleaned and primed skin with liquid foundation brush or fingertips. I like to use this with a brush or my beauty blender. I typically stay away from fingertips just because that's adding extra oils to your face that you don't necessarily want on your face, because you want to have no excess oil when you want to start applying your foundation. Lastly, I have the Urban Decay All-Nighter Waterproof Longer Liquid Foundation. So this one is supposed to last you all day. It's like 24-hour wear. It's very heavy and it like sits into your skin really nicely. Personally, I like this one a lot. I just wish that I had gotten two of them, I guess you could say, because I got one when I was still my winter skin tone, which is a lot lighter, but now since the summer I have gotten a little bit tanner, and so I have to wait until winter to use it again. But it is really, really nice. Again, I wouldn't apply this one with the brush just because of how thick it is. I would apply it with a beauty blender. Again, wet it down, spray it with like your primer spray or anything, and then you can apply it from there. So for today's video, I'm going to be using this Cover FX, the Natural Finish Oil-Free Foundation, just because it is made for camera lighting such as this that I have set up right now, and so I think it'll look really well under the lighting. So this one is the shade G20, and so I'm going to show you how to apply it, and again I'm going to do half and half, so half beauty blender, half brush. So I'm going to start with my primer, applying it. Again, it's the Kat Von D Lock-It Primer, and so I only get like a little squirt, like this much. You don't need a lot. And then I apply it everywhere. So. And again, you're going to want to give it a couple minutes to sit so it can really absorb into the skin and do a nice job of holding your makeup on all day. And again, bringing it down your neck, because that's where you're going to be applying your makeup as well, hopefully, so that it all blends into everything nicely and doesn't look like it like ends like right at your chin. Okay, so now my foundation is ready to be applied because I allowed the primer to set into my skin. So I'm going to start off by shaking it, because you always want to make sure that everything that's in there gets nice and like mixed in together. So I start off by applying it to my hand like this. I don't apply too much because I'd rather take too little and then have to go back than waste a bunch of foundation, because it will dry up if you just end up like sticking it in another container for later. And I take my beauty blender and my spray and I wet it. Squeeze it a little bit just to evenly distribute. And I'm going to go into my foundation. Okay. And then I'm going to apply it with the beauty blender to this side of my face. And I will zoom you guys in after so you can see. So what you really want to do is you want to pat it. You don't want to rub, and you want to go in like a circular motions outwards. So then you get the most product in the middle and least on the outside, because that's typically where the focus will be, especially in photos or things like that. And the thing with the beauty blender is you don't have to work very hard. You can just pat it lightly and allow like your natural face oils to move it around how it should be. So you don't have to like really pound at your face about it. That's kind of why I always wait to do my eyebrows after, because I always end up getting foundation in them, and then it looks funny if I already have like stuff in them. And then there's foundation on top, and it's just a huge hassle to have to clean up and re-go in. So this way you can at least just clean up and then go in with your brush or your pencil or whatever you use to do your eyebrows. So because my eyes are pretty deep set, as you can see, I get a lot of creasing, and I'm sure there's people out there who have my same problem. And so I don't put foundation right under my eyes like that, because if I'm going to be putting foundation and then concealer on top of it, it's just so much product that's going to build up, and it's going to have like streaks, especially up in my eye and right under it. And so I don't like that look, and it's really hard to get it to not happen. So I just don't go in very close to my eye with my foundation. And I also really like this product because it has a pretty natural finish to it. Like, that looks nice. Like, it gives you like glowy skin if you're into that sort of thing. If you want a matte finish, this is not the product for you, because it will not get matted down unless you apply heavy amounts of powders on top of it, which can tend to look cakey, so I don't like to do that. Okay, so as you can see, this side of my face, it has a lot more coverage. It has less like redness to it, less color, discoloration. So now I'm going to do this side of my face, but with a brush, and I already applied some to the back of my hand. So then what I like to do is I like to take my ring finger and dip it in, and then I will apply it to the points on my face that I feel need it. And you can apply it really like anywhere. Just apply dots all over your face, which you will then be blending out with your brush. And so again, making sure that you get on your neck as well. Okay, and it is okay if you get some on your lips like I did there, because then you can just take like a Q-tip with some Aquaphor or Vaseline or something and just wipe it off, and you'll be all good to go. So then I'm going to take this brush and I'm going to, again, spray it with my Pixie Makeup Fixing Mist. Run fingers through it. And then I am going to go ahead. Oh my goodness, I just got my mirror super dirty. Okay. And so I'm just going to go ahead and blend outwards in small circular motions like this. And when you want to finish your foundation, always pull downward, just because that's the way that the hairs on your face will go. And so you want to go with the hairs on your face so it blends out and isn't streaky and doesn't just collect in one spot. So again, not worrying about it on my lips, just because you can always take it off. Okay, so I'm going to zoom you guys in now so that you can see the differences between the sides of my face. So again, this one was done with a brush and this one was done with a beauty blender. I definitely like the way the beauty blender looks better, just because, as I'll show you, it definitely catches more of the hairs with the brush on this way, rather than this one. It looks like it's really part of your skin. So zoomed in a little bit, both sides, they look good, but this one, done with the brush, you can definitely tell that it is not part of my skin, just because it like catches on all those little hairs that everyone has, you know. And then, but both sides look very dewy, and so that's why you'd want to set it after you do your foundation. So overall, basically, both sides do a great application job, brush and beauty blender. It's typically just up to preference. I find that I have more control in like smaller spaces, like around my eyes, if I used a beauty blender versus a brush, which has like only one like wide base to it. So I did go back in and over the side with the brush with the beauty blender, just due to preference. I like the way the beauty blender applies, and so I went back in over it. And you don't have to apply more product, you just can go over it like you would if you had product on there, and I feel like it just makes it sit into your skin better. As you can see, my face is clearly dewy, I guess you could call it, and so it reflects a lot of light. And the worst thing that could possibly happen is if you're out at night and you're taking photos with flash and your face looks really, really white, and that's called flashback. And you can't always avoid that, but a really good way to avoid flashback is by using a foundation that doesn't have SPF. Because of the parts that are in SPF, it will cause flashback if you're... So although I did not cover how to use your fingers to apply your makeup, it's pretty simple concept. Again, you would apply the dots to where just all over your face, and then you can just blend it in with your fingers. So that would be for like if you're using like a tinted primer like this Tarte BB primer or this Revlon Ready BB cream. Either way, you can apply it with your fingers. The only problem with that is that you're adding excess oils from your fingers onto your skin, or it's going to be streaky just because your fingers aren't like one solid surface. They have fingerprints and that sort of thing to them. So again, it's whatever your preference is. It's a lot more time consuming to use a brush and a beauty blender, and I totally get that. So sometimes I do use my fingers. It's just on days when I'm really in a rush. So a lot of people are afraid of their foundation coming off during the day and wearing out, and a great way to keep that from happening is with a setting powder. It also allows for less creasing, which works for me really well because, again, like I was saying earlier, I get wicked bad creasing under my eyes and around my nose and that sort of thing, just because those are like deep parts of your face, I guess you could say, where a lot of it will just collect. And so I use this Sonia Kashuk setting powder, and if I'm going to be doing my whole face with setting powder, I use this really big brush because it has really nice even application, large bristles, so it can cover large surfaces quickly. But typically, if I'm just going to be doing under my eyes and in specific points of my face, I will go in and I'll use my beauty blender, and I'll just dump some into the cap here, just like tip it over and dump some in the cap, and then roll this in it and put it under my eye. And that's called baking, if you just let it sit under your eyes for a little bit and then you finish the rest of your face, or you do one more part of your face and then you brush it off, and it'll help it to stay on even longer. But personally, the way I like to do it is I like to use my beauty blender. I'm not going to do it right now because I always apply setting powders after I've applied any creams or liquids, and I haven't done my contour or my highlight yet, and so you're going to want to wait until you have every liquid foundation or like concealer or highlighter or anything like that on your face before you start applying powders, because if you start to add powders on top of liquids and then another liquid on top of that powder, it's going to look all clumpy and it's not going to look right. So that wraps up my foundation video. So thank you so much for watching and for your support. If you guys have any questions, let me know. If you just want to send me what you've done, please do. I would love, love, love to see what you guys have done. Also, like up my Instagram, please. I want as much support as I can, because eventually I would like to be able to email companies and tell them that I'll like market their products for them, or that I'll do reviews for them if they send me free stuff. So that'd be pretty sweet. So again, like up my stuff, Facebook, Instagram. I'll try to post them on Visco. And if you guys have any questions, let me know. Thank you.